Welcome to the Commercial Cashflow Show. Today we're here with George with JNT Developers, and we're going to be talking about multifamily construction and renovations. And if you want to learn how to add value to your multifamily real estate deals, stay tuned.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Life in Air.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Commercial Cashflow Show. I'm Kenny Wolf. This is Ronnie Phillip with my co-host, and we got Jorge Abreu with JNT Multifamily Roofing Construction and Rehab today in the hot seat. So we're talking about multifamily construction and how to add value to your properties. But first, George, just go into your kind of backstory, how you got into real estate, and then how you got into multifamily.
Awesome. First of all, thank you guys for getting me on the show.
Sure.
And looking forward to it.
We're excited to have you on.
Yeah.
I think
Excited to be here, man.
one thing about George is he's extremely knowledgeable about not only the construction side, but he also does deals himself as a syndicator. So this is why we wanted to have him on the show, because he has both perspectives on it. So how'd you get started in construction?
Yeah, so actually I started in single family investments. That was about 12 plus years ago back in Miami. Started flipping homes and doing wholesales as well. And the more we started flipping, the harder it got to find good contractors. So I decided to go ahead and open a construction company, which is JNT. And past couple years, we've been focusing more kind of turning from single family to multifamily. And that's on the investment side as well as the construction side. And it's pretty much the same concept we took with our single family homes. You know, we first started investing and then started working for investors on the construction side. So we've taken that same concept and put it into multifamily. And I think the fact that we're investors as well, you know, we know what investors are looking for, and we deliver.
Awesome. So let's talk about your transition from the single family to the multifamily side. You could have went to any other asset class. Why'd you choose multifamily?
Yeah, I think what got me looking around was, you know, single family. I know Propelio's got a lot of single family investors. It's very transactional. You know, you're from one deal to the next deal. Obviously, you can do rentals as well, but it's harder to scale. So I wanted to find something that can bring in that passive income and that's scalable. So that led me to multifamily.
Awesome. And then talk about your first deal, you know, in multifamily. Whenever you're like, okay, I'm done with the whole single family stuff. I don't want to do the flips anymore. Let me talk about your first deal and like how you took it down as a contractor.
Yeah. So first of all, when I decided I wanted to do multifamily, started doing a lot of networking, and was able to partner with somebody that had the experience and had the track record. And then at that point, just started looking aggressively for deals, and we ended up finding one in Temple, Texas, you know, a sub-market, and we got a really good price on it. And then it was in a B area, but C-class building, so we knew it had potential. It was pretty rough looking, and I'll show you some pictures later on in the slides of the property.
How big was it? How many units?
It was 37 units.
Okay.
Actually 36 units with an office, but we decided to take that office and make it a 37th unit.
Nice.
So it wasn't massive, but you know, it was a good start. And we went in there and pretty much did a full renovation on the exterior and then also on the interior units, and it's turned out pretty good.
So on that office, so we did something similar to a deal we have in Wiley, but on that office conversion to a rental unit, how much did it cost you to convert it, and then how much value did you gain from that investment by turning it in from the office into a rental unit?
Sure. So cost-wise, it took about $15,000 or so.
Okay.
And then you know, we're getting the rent on there is $600 a month, so adding that to your NOI.
At least 80K if you're using a 10 cap, which is way too high. So,
Right,
probably
right.
100,
Make the math easy,
120K,
yeah.
right? Just to make it easy. So we had a similar result too. So we, our office, and it drove me crazy, but we finally did it after 3 years of ownership. I finally got around to it. It was our first deal. So it was a 2-bedroom. So what we did is made half of it in efficiency. And then the other half, we kept as the office. Because 76 units, you kind of need that on-site person at that level, at that unit count. So 6K, because we had to add a bathroom for the office manager. We didn't want her knocking on the door to her neighbor to go. So anyway, so we added that, and we're getting, and because that one we had to make an all bills paid property because we couldn't split or inexpensively split that power meter, right? So all bills paid, I think it's like $900 for that efficiency. So it gained. From investing 6K. That allowed us to get another 100, 120K worth of value of that. So that's I point that out. That's the value of multifamily, is that when you can do those things to add value, and I would add more units as much as you can. I'd tack them onto the roof if they let me on those deals, because it can just add so much more value because it multiplies. It's based on the cap rate. So anyways, kind of want to talk about that. So
For sure. Yeah, so that was our first deal, and then since then we've worked with several investors on their renovations, and then we're working on taking down more properties ourselves as well as a general partner.
So sorry, go back to the Temple deal. So it's 37 units, right? So who's at that unit count? You have to be a little bit creative on the management side. So how do you staff that property?
So we have a part-time maintenance guy, and then a part-time leasing manager.
Okay.
We found a local third-party property manager that had several properties already, so a little easier for them to manage it.
Sure.
And you do have to be careful with the expenses, obviously, with less units, so that it makes sense. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Good.
And on that 37 unit deal, how'd y'all find it? Was it through a broker, direct to seller?
Yeah, it was actually through networking, and then we met a broker that had actually sold that property to the seller. He wasn't selling; it was off market, and she just had a feeling that he may be willing to sell, and she asked him, and that's kind of how it happened.
Awesome. And what type of debt did you get on it?
So we did a bridge loan because of the occupancy at the time, and we're actually getting ready to refi into an agency now.
Awesome.
Cool.
And let's talk about the construction side.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about your first deal in multifamily as a contractor. How did that go? And because whenever you jump from a single family home to it's a whole different scale, right?
Sure.
So it's there's a lot of things you have to look out for. So how'd you learn how to do all that?
Yeah, it was a slow progression, from where we first started with single family homes, small cosmetic remodels. As the years went on, it seems like we just kept going bigger and bigger to the point where we were building new construction, doing huge additions, and then slowly we started getting into commercial projects as well, like office build outs, different restaurants and those types of things. And then I think the first one was an exterior paint job for multifamily. And like you said, there is a big difference going from single family to multifamily. You've got to be able to man the project. You need more crews. Can't obviously take forever to get the job done. So it's just building. We've always been really good at building relationships with crews and subcontractors, and we pretty much had to start from scratch on that end. We couldn't take the ones we had from single family and plug them into multifamily. So it was a process.
And how'd you start finding your contractors and different things like that? Just through networking, or? Yeah,
networking, word of mouth is always the best.
A lot of experimenting.
A lot of experimenting. Having a system to vetting them and making sure that they can do the job. and then being ready to, sometimes you got to let them go and find somebody else.
And then, so because you're working on going from single family to multifamily, what are the gains you can get from having such a bigger project? I mean, so by buying in bulk, what kind of discounts are you seeing compared from like doing a single family job to a multifamily?
Yeah, I mean the more quantity you have, definitely the lower the price gets for labor as well as materials. I think on the material side, you can definitely see a huge discount when you're working with multifamily. We've got different suppliers we work with. We're working on now on maybe possibly getting the material straight from China and working that out. To get to that point, you need to have the quantity.
Right.
Is the difference between single family, but definitely some savings there.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're working on a project in Cleveland, and there's one of the partner up there that's on the ground. He knows a lady she's buying she's getting a whole shipping container filled in China, and she said she can get granite delivered to us in Cleveland, Ohio for $15 a square foot.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when he said it, but $15 a square foot, that's crazy. That's crazy cheap. So, but that's when you're able to buy in bulk, like you said, with multifamily, that definitely helps your investment dollars go a lot farther, and the gains are so much more bigger as well.
Definitely.
What is the normal cost for granite for the audience watching who doesn't know any construction? How much is granite?
For single
usually?
family, what does that go?
Single family, I mean, retail, you're probably looking at maybe $30 a square foot. If you got a good deal, maybe 24.
Right. Yeah.
And you're getting it for 15?
15, yeah. So
That's awesome.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. That's the power of bound and scale. So I mean, it's great when you can move up the ladder. You get much better returns and better deals on appliances too. I mean, we get big discounts from Lowe's and Home Depot by buying in bulk from those two. Stainless steel packages, I think, run us about $1,200 without the microwave for stainless steel. So
It's not bad.
it's pretty cool. It's easy to and then we upgrade the units to that, and we get $100, $150 rent bumps for those things. I mean, it's a payback of within a year just for the appliances.
In some submarkets, sometimes they don't pay a little bit extra for that. So for the viewers watching, you have to research the submarket before you try to do some high-end upgrades, and that's one thing that's really important.
That's very true. I mean, so like some of the markets wherein we just do black appliances, we don't do stainless because I don't think they can afford the extra, $50 or whatever it is above the black appliances. So yeah, you definitely have to watch out for that.
Yeah, and Atlanta is the same way. Like the upgrade is, for one deal we have, it's resurfacing the countertops, cabinet fronts, and then black appliances from the white appliances. But then on our other deal, it's granite and black appliances and the brand new cabinets and flooring and all that. So it goes even in the same city. You have to look at that specific submarkets to see what it demands and going secret shopping and seeing. And sometimes you might have to test one unit out. Right. I don't know if you've done that on some of your deals.
We're doing that now on a deal in Columbus, Ohio. We've owned it for about 4 years now. So we've already upgraded half the property with faux wood, kitchen backsplash. And we painted the cabinets on that one. So now for our premium, we're going. We've tried out a few with just replacing the cabinet door fronts. That's getting us an extra $25 a month off those, and it's costing us about like $550 per unit to do. So it's a heck of a return. But we're about to try a granite unit and one of those to see what we can get out of that premium unit. So we're playing around with that. And in Columbus, Ohio, they're quoting me $38 a foot for granite. So we're going to try out one at the high price, and then once we test it out, then we're going to go source it from China or even Texas. It's so much cheaper down here. So anyway, then ship it up there.
There you go.
So anyways, but you've got to play around with that, especially if you hold these longer term, because you've already probably upgraded half or more of the units. So now when they come around again, so now that's basically your classic unit. Now you need to step it up one more, and what can you do in that submarket to get more rent without over improving it, right? So
no, that's a great point. We're getting ready to close one in Oklahoma, and new market for us. We went in there thinking with the mentality of more of Dallas, and our renovations, our first scope started at a little bit over $2 million. And then the more research we did into the market and doing the secret shopping, like you said, we ended up scaling it all the way down to right under 1 million. So yeah, you definitely want to test out the market and see what they're doing there.
And I don't necessarily think you have to be the first one on the block to do it, because you know, I think it's good to see like at least a couple of buildings starting to do it. But sometimes you could be the first one, and then you know it all just depends on what your risk appetite is. And on your deals, Kenny, like how important is it to have like the right contractor? Because I think this can make or break a deal.
Sure, no, you've got to have that. It's one of the key teammates that you have to have on all your properties. So, you know, you've got to have the right person in there that knows the right subcontractors to get in there, and then also if that subcontractor doesn't work out, to be able to replace them quickly and to correct anything that went awry. So, yeah, I mean, you got to have someone who's nimble and that you trust and that will do a good job, for sure.
And talk to us what you do at JNT.
Yeah, so at JNT, like we've been saying, we focus on multifamily renovations. We also do some commercial construction and some light new construction. But our main focus is multifamily renovations, and our goal is for the investors like yourselves to have a contractor that you count on and kind of just turn over the renovations to that contractor and know that they're going to take care of it. We work a lot on the front end, making sure everything's picked out, that there's a clear scope of work, so that from day one we can take off running. And then we keep the investors, good communication with the investors throughout the project. We use a project management software that gives real-time updates with pictures, videos, pretty much anything you need, so that the investors don't have to worry about what's going on, where's the money being spent. Actually, a lot of our clients take that information and they send it over to their passive investors so that they know, what their money's being used for. And we've had good success with it. I mean,
I think that transparency and communication is vital whenever it comes, especially with construction stuff, because coming from a background of flipping houses, I mean, it's a headache. I still don't have a good contractor for flipping houses, so that's why that's why the multifamily is better, because we have people like George. You've already done these type of deals, and there's also the getting advice from you on like different construction and different aspects of, hey, what type of renovations and stuff. Because if you're here local in Dallas and you've done like 50 projects or whatever here, you're gonna know, okay, in Farmers Branch, like you need to do this upgrade versus, especially for a new time sponsor. I think that's really important. So like, talk to us a little bit about your consulting with like, say a brand new sponsor is coming in, like what should they like look for and whatnot?
For sure. I mean, we meet them at the property and we go through everything, and we're always giving our input, as far as how far to take the interior upgrades, or, we always suggest, why don't you do maybe this that won't cost much, but it'll give the property a lot more character. And
What's an example of that?
A lot of the times, just, I know it's popular right now, but just adding some cedar accents somewhere, even in the management office, just pick a wall and give it a cedar accent with maybe the property logo on it. That kind of stuff pops, and it just makes the place look more custom. And there's a ton of other things that I don't want to give too much away, but I have a bunch of it in the slide.
Yeah.
So what I like to, just real quick, so what I like to do to figure out what to put at our B and C properties is I go secret shop in A class, take a lot of pictures and steal their ideas and put it in my B and C class, right? So that's one way to really do that, do it up nice, because it's kind of like the McDonald's and Burger King. McDonald's has all this research where to put their stores, right? Burger King's model is wherever McDonald's is, that's where we're going to be. So that's what we do, kind of. We're the Burger King approach. We we look at the A class. They hire the interior decorators and all this thing, and then I take a photo with my iPhone and then show the team and okay, replicate this, so for a lot cheaper, and bring that to the B and C class arena where we can. as well. And kind of something we started doing with our construction team is that now we do a pre-close construction meeting. So we fly out about 2 weeks beforehand, get permission from the seller, of course. But I'm out there with the general contractor. We walk some vacant units so we can get the scope, and then also the exterior, the amenities we're going to add, an office and all that stuff. So he can start getting bids. So from day one, we can start that rehab process. That way we're not waiting to close and then have that. It kind of saves us about probably 2 to 4 weeks worth of time. And we can jump right on into it as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff I'm talking about. It makes a big difference when you spend some time, during the process of getting the property closed. I know there's a lot going on, the raising of the capital, and just getting everything together. But at the same time, if you spend some of that time working on what's the detailed scope of work, what are we going to be doing from day one, even if we can try to get some of the finish outs picked out and all that, then you can start putting the money to work right away from day one.
Yeah, no, that's great. Good.
And I think the first 6 months of any project is the most crucial. So definitely once you close, already got everything in order. Because if you just keep delaying and, I don't know about this floor color or this paint color and stuff, get all that done before closing. That's what that pre-close construction meeting is important. Is that something you do with your clients? Or?
Yeah, we call it a pre-construction meeting.
Okay.
And we get everything ironed out and ready to go so that day one we're there.
Good.
Awesome. So we're going to take a quick break, guys. Please leave your questions and comments below. Anything multifamily, renovation, construction questions. And when we come back, we're going to actually show before and after pictures and different things like that, how to pick the right contractor, all those different things. So stay tuned.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at propelio.com.
Welcome back to the Commercial Cashflow Show. We're talking about multifamily renovations and construction. So we're going to hop into a slideshow and show y'all what before and after pictures are on these deals and why it's important to hire the right contractor. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah, so I put some content together, some things that I thought would help some of the multifamily investors out. And that right there is actually a leasing office that we renovated. It was had a loft, and actually I wish I would have put a before picture, but it came out really nice afterwards.
Was that on a B or C class or what?
That was on a B.
On a B, okay.
Yeah.
Looks very nice.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Like that. So to me, the office is the first thing that your prospective residents are going to see, right? So that to me, that's a very big piece to it.
It's huge.
I mean, you've got to have, to me, the right flooring. They have to have that wow factor. That way, they come in and okay, this is some place where I want to be. And we even do so. And you guys probably have done this too, obviously. I mean, we like to have the same flooring or similar flooring to what's going to be in the upgrade units, and then we do a backsplash or whatever appliance package we're doing in the office. So that way, we don't have to have a model unit. I hate model units; they're just wasted money. So that way, kind of our office is the model. They can see the flooring, they can see the backsplash, and because hopefully we're leased up so much that there's really nothing for them to see. So that's the goal, anyways. But the office is big. What kind of flooring and paint? I mean, what are the? I've always, the cool colors is the gray on the wall with the white baseboard, right? Some of the faux wood plank in there as well. But what other kind of interesting office ideas have y'all done?
You can see the wood ceilings here.
Right.
We've done that.
So you
quite
added
a bit.
that. You added the wood ceiling in there. Oh, nice. Okay. Cool.
And then, like I said, picking an accent wall, kind of probably the first wall you see when you walk in, and really make that pop with some wood or cedar.
Nice.
And then exactly what you were saying too, as far as it's first impression, you know.
Right.
We also try to fix up if there's a path to get to that office. You want to make sure that whatever's in that path is also
Right. Yeah.
That's
Landscape.
very
pops
true.
and
Yeah. Landscaping and all that.
It's like having like a row of flowers. I think that's what we're doing on our deal in
There you go.
Atlanta. It's just like curb appeal is important. What I think is like the first like 10 feet when driving onto the property, people will know they want to rent there or not.
Right.
So it's just like got to make sure the signage is good, and as it's leading towards the office, got to make sure that's good as well. So everything leading up to it is the most important part.
Right. Yeah.
So and if there is like when a secret shopping deals, I observe that like what's the first 10 seconds of me driving this property, what does it feel like?
Right.
And then like the deal we're buying is like, okay, how can we make this aspect better? You know, so that's something I always look at. But office is probably one of the most important things because it's the first thing people see. And on model units, do people still do model units? I know you're not a big fan of it.
I see them. I mean, when we look at deals, I
yeah, I
see
mean,
them.
people still do them. I agree with you. I mean, if you can, you know, we've done it before too in the office, kind of do like a small, if there's a kitchen area, definitely
Right.
fix it up the same way the model unit would look.
Right.
And then instead of having the model unit, you know, just rent the unit out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you might as well keep the extra $700, $800 a month.
Do you have any model units on your deals?
Sometimes what we'll do is do a mini model, and so they can lease that day, and so we'll stage it with like some, you know, the on-site staff picks all this out, and usually they go to the local
a
dollar
light
store.
stage.
But yeah, like kind of a light stage, like with a cookbook and like some, you know, some towels, kitchen towels out and glasses. But we try not to have a true like just a fixed model. I try to get those, you know, out the door as fast as possible. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think having like something in the office, like a room or something like that, can help, but there's not always that option, you know.
No, yeah.
And then as far as like office renovations, I know it varies, but how much does it usually cost to do something like this on like a clubhouse?
Depends on how bad the office is.
Yeah, I mean, you can go from, you know, putting only $5,000 into it to just make, you know, one wall pop or something to spending $50,000. I mean,
Yeah, I think our deals are like at least 25, 30,000.
that's about average. Yeah.
The deal
It's like 1,500 square feet, something like that.
Right. So you really want to deck it out. So the deal we're buying on next Tuesday in Shreveport, it's got the size of it's really nice. When you walk in, it's got slate tile, which just drives me nuts. It instantly dates it, right? So we're tearing all that out. So that's going to be like a 25, 30K kind of renovation for that. The paint, the new baseboards make it really pop, but that slate tile kills me. So we'll be glad to rip that out.
Yeah. So
All right, and then continuing back here, this is just kind of saying, you know, what we do. I think we've kind of gone over that, but same here, you know, multifamily construction and commercial construction is what we really focus on. There's some of the projects we've done.
So you guys do both ground up and kind of renovate existing buildings, right?
Correct. On the
Okay.
ground up, it's more of modern, like smaller. We got a 8-plex and a 16-plex,
Okay.
a real modern, nice looking.
Nice.
And then our systems, you know, that's something that we've worked a lot on, building the right relationships with the subcontractors and the vendors. Technology, you know, we use that a lot with our softwares, estimating, and then also through the project. And then we've been able to create a pretty good team, and we keep a good culture throughout the team. So to jump into, you know, so I see a lot of investors kind of jump into hiring their contractor and don't really take the time up front. So that's why I wanted to cover this. And I really don't understand why they do that. You know, if you're going to spend $1 million and you're going to hand that over to someone, it's definitely worth doing some extra homework on them. So the first thing is making sure you're working with a reputable contractor. So one is you want to make sure that they're actually focused on multifamily and that they specialize in that type of project.
Right.
And then an online presence. I mean, you know, nowadays if a company doesn't have an online presence with social media, website, Google reviews, BBB, etc., you know, that's a huge red flag. they have nothing to lose at that point if they leave your project undone or whatnot.
I think that's key because Ian, as we're like getting bids on our deals and stuff, it's like looking at the people who've actually done multifamily renovations and how long have they done it? What's their track record?
Yep.
Asking for references, like, you know, calling people, hey, have you worked with this guy and how did they do? And then going to those deals and seeing, okay, what they do. No one's perfect, right? You know, you can't control like subcontractors and stuff, but okay, what did this company do right? You know, what could they improve on, whatnot, and then try to see what the pattern is, right? I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a small world in multifamily that a lot of us investors know each other, or we know of each other. So, I mean, it's a really tight network for the most part. So we all talk about what contractors we like and which ones to never use again or whatever.
Right.
So we all have that kind of secret list that we all talk about at these networking events. But yeah, I mean, that's someone who specializes in multifamily or has a track record in that. Is important because it's not really like another commercial site, right? Where you just have one big building and you're doing, you know, 10,000 square feet. You're doing multiple 800 to 1,000 square feet, units. So you've got, and then you also have to work with the management company on, okay, when are those units going to get back to the when are they moving out? You know, how long do I have to be in there and get them out and get them done? I mean, so it's a little bit more of a, I imagine it's more of a matrix as to
It's the logistics of
what to do when, right? So I think that's something important that some folks maybe don't appreciate. I do, because I've seen these guys have to do the math as to what unit to do where, and then they'll have to change it quickly because maybe the on-site staff was able to lease that unit that's not ready yet to jump into that one to get it ready. So there's a lot of that going on. What other things do you see in multifamily that are different than, say, like a commercial project?
Yeah, there's just a lot of moving parts. You know, obviously you have families living in there, several of them, depending on how many units there are. So you got to work around that. You got to work with the property management company, like you said. You've got to be able to, like I said earlier, you got to be able to man the property. I mean, it's a lot of units or bigger size. So there's a lot more planning and executing that goes into it versus, you know, just one single family home or one single commercial project.
Right. Yeah. I'm more into it.
Yeah. And then, so references, I think you mentioned references, and it's important to not only ask for the reference, but actually call them and talk to them and ask them the questions like you said, you know, what did they do good? What did they do bad? And really dig into it. And at the same time, ask them for some case studies. If you can, you know, pictures are great, but if you can actually go visit the site, even better. And then check their insurance. You know, ask them to send you a copy of their insurance. If you're not sure what you're looking for, you know, make sure they have at least $1 million in general liability, personal injury, and workman's comp. Right. And then credentials. Ask for their credentials, or, you know, if they have a website or whatnot, it should have it there listed. And like I did here is I put a couple of and this is just a couple of the credentials that we have. And it speaks loud for the company. You know, these credentials, you got to apply for them. You've got to have a certain amount of insurance, a certain amount of revenue. So the more they have, the better. And then, so if you're done doing all that, you know, at that point, if they've checked all that off, you're working with a reputable contractor. So now is you want to ask some deeper questions and more about, so once we have this project and the project's moving, what are your systems in place? So one is starting with the scope of work. You know, how detailed is that scope of work or estimate on the front end? I don't know how many times I've seen where it's literally like a paragraph and then the total's $1 million. You know, what are you doing for that $1 million? Right. Don't just give me a paragraph. You know, our scopes of work are broken down line item by line item. It tells you exactly what you're going to get, how much, which leads into the materials. So same thing with the materials. I've seen where a scope just says, oh, we're going to install, you know, 10,000 square feet of tile, or we're going to install this many sink faucets. Okay, but what's my material allowance for that product? Right. You know, a $75 sink faucet versus a $25 sink faucet, there's a big difference.
What's the quality that you're going to get, right? Yeah.
And then the communication part of it, once a project starts all the way to the end, how do you communicate with us? Do you have an on-site supervisor? Do you use a project management software? Do we meet here weekly? What's the process look like? Those are the questions you want to ask. And then also change orders. So I've seen a lot of projects so it looks good on the front end. The contractor gives you, the price looks good. They don't have a detailed scope of work possibly. And then they get into it and they just start change ordering you.
Right.
I've also seen it where they don't even get your approval before doing the change order. They just give you an invoice. Hey, by the way, we ran into this and we had to do this.
Right.
I don't know if you ran into anything similar, but
Yeah, there's some guys that try to pull that.
yeah. So ask all this on the front end before you actually get into the job.
The more detailed that initial bid that you can get, the better. Change orders are a pain for everybody, for the investor and the contractor, right? So you want to get that all spelled out beforehand.
I think setting expectations is key. Like, hey, we're going to do $1 million renovation on 200 units. This is our game plan. We want to do this finish out on this. This is already the upgraded units, already proven the rents. We want to rename the building. We want to do the roofs, paint the outside, cut some trees down, landscaping, all that kind of stuff. What's a realistic timeline that's going to be? And then get that from the contractor, because if you don't have a realistic timeline, you're just looking for like unmet expectations and stuff. So I think just having that timeline is the most important thing. And if there's any delays, that's when communication is really, really important. Hey, there's a reason why we're delaying this, is because there's something going on here, right? Or we can't get this material in time, or this contractor we had to fire, right? So having that communication makes things so much easier, because as a deal sponsor, especially the first 6 months, usually, I don't know on your deals, Kenny, but for like ours, it's at least 6 months before first distribution and sometimes if it's like a deep value add, it could take longer than that, right? So it's like, if we don't know from you, how are we supposed to tell our investors, right? So that's important. We got to have that clear line of communication.
Yeah, we've got a weekly phone call with our construction crew, just on all the projects that we're doing, just to kind of make sure everybody's one. I think it's also to make sure that they have some progress, hold them accountable. So that's one part of it. But you've got but you have that weekly call across all of our projects at once. That's really helped us a lot. It's kind of keep everybody focused and driving forward on that. And yeah, you've got to pass that on to your investors as well. So if you have that, maybe type up a quick report to them, post it on your portal, however you communicate with your investors. But you've got to have that communication, especially on big, deep value-added projects. When and everybody loves to see the before and after, right? I mean, that's why HGTV is a thing, right? Everybody likes the before and after. So if you can show that to your investors and pass that on, that's always a big value to your investor group.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, communication, like both of you said, it's important. A lot of the times I see where the investor and the contractor are kind of not working together and just bumping heads. That doesn't help anybody. It's when you have the open communication, and if something comes up, you guys are working together on it. That's really what helps.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, as far as timeline and project completion, what does that look like? What does the timeline look like? What's the process once we get to the finish line? Do we do a final punch list, or do you just say, hey, it's done and that's it? And then the last thing is warranty-wise, what type of warranty is the contractor giving you? And make sure that he gives you any manufacturer warranties that go along with it, meaning like putting on a new roof, make sure you get the shingle manufacturer warranty. Same thing with appliances. The contractor's buying the appliances. So if all that's done on the front end, you should avoid problems during the project.
Yep.
It'll go a lot smoother. And then also wanted to point out some things during due diligence that I think can help. I think everybody, for the most part, checks on the roof. I have seen where some of the investors take what the broker and the seller's taking them a little too far. If the seller's telling you they replaced the roofs 2 years ago, you still want to go and get them checked out by a professional. we've seen jobs that were done a year ago and they were done incorrectly, and it's just as bad as not doing it. The roof still needs to be replaced. So definitely get a professional on your roof. If you got a flat roof, you want to make sure they do a core sample where they actually cut into the roof and see what type of roofing system's on there. That way you know what you're working with.
Right.
And last thing on the roof is fluid applied. So if you got a flat roof as well, you can save a lot of money doing a fluid applied roof to restoration, where you don't have to rip off the existing roof. But you got to be careful and make sure you have somebody that knows what they're doing, because we have seen a lot of those jobs done incorrectly as well.
Right. Just our maintenance guy goes up and sprays some stuff down.
Right.
Call it good.
Right. I mean, even some contractors, if you don't mix the products correctly, or if you don't apply the right bonding before you put it on,
right,
it can be just as bad.
Right.
And especially here in Texas, we have hailstorms like every week, so definitely got to get the...
Not every week, but yeah, often.
Lately, it's like at least once a month I see, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you get a lot of calls and stuff on hail and whatnot. It's one thing I want to dive into, like, how do you handle that, especially with, like, all these hailstorms coming in and stuff, like, how are you able to help, like, your projects you've already done?
Yeah, I mean, the second a storm comes through, we call our clients and we go check it out. There's a lot that goes into a multifamily. If you're going to file a claim on your insurance, you definitely want to have a contractor on your side when it comes to that, because the insurance is going to fight you right off the bat, just because you're talking about a lot of money. The loss is probably going to be pretty big.
Right.
So you want to have a contractor on your side, and we go out there, we inspect it, we put together an estimate of what it's going to cost, and then we present that to the insurance, make sure that it all lines up.
And it can take up to months. I mean,
yeah.
kind of squabbling over a few line items and the cost and all that, but it's just part of doing those hail claims. I mean, when we buy a property, I always pray for hail. That way we get a brand new roof. But because I don't mind the back and forth, but you got to have that. It's a marathon on doing that hail claim.
Definitely is.
But totally worth it. Absolutely worth it. We had a property in Wiley that had. Baseball size hail. It actually even damaged the hardy plank. There are holes in that.
A couple years ago?
Yeah, a couple years, 3-4 years ago. But we got the insurance company. Mostly they played ball and we were fine. We had a squabble over the last $10,000, but what's great for us is that, they put in an extra about $10K a door into our property with new hardy, new plank, new windows, sliding glass doors. The whole 9 yards. So it's going to actually lengthen the life of our investment hold strategy now, because we basically have a brand new property. It was built in the 80s, but it's got a heck of a refresh after that hailstorm. So you can take that into account too on your hold period, because we don't have anything to do for the next probably 5-7 years on it because of that big hailstorm. So they can be beneficial. It can be a headache working with the insurance company, but it'll be totally worth it at the end.
No, that's why having the right contractor on your team is important. Like following up after the job is done. That's really important. That's what I like. So we're gonna take another break. Please leave some questions and comments below. Anything multifamily renovations. When we come back, we're gonna actually show you before and after pictures. So you'll have to stay tuned, because this is probably the coolest thing about multifamily. We'll dive deeper into like different upgrades and things like that. So stay tuned.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at propelio.com.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Commercial Cashflow Show. We're about to jump into what to look for when you're doing your due diligence, and then quickly after that we'll get into the before and after on these multifamily renovations that we've seen, that George has seen, and obviously Ronnie and myself. So it'll be fun to look at that.
Yeah. So went over the roof. Next thing is your exterior walls. Don't just assume that just painting it is going to fix it. You definitely want a professional to look at the material, whether it's siding, stucco, etc., and make sure that that it's not failing or there's any rot, so you can take that into account into your budget and not just painting it. As well as, so your sewer lines are very important. I suggest that everybody get them scoped during your due diligence. A lot of the sewer lines here, at least in Texas, they can have a lot of breaks, especially the cast iron. Right. With the foundation shifting, it can cause a lot of breaks in your lines. So you want to have a professional plumber come out, scope the lines, and give you a report on that. And next is your foundation. And not so much your foundation. So definitely get your foundation checked, but what's causing the issues if you have issues? A lot of the times it has to do with drainage or back to your sewer lines. It could be that you've got a slab leak, right, and that's causing your issues. So you want to get to the underlying issue. The drainage part of it, it's, for the most part, it's usually pretty easy to fix. It's either your grading or maybe your downspouts are dumping right into your foundation. Sometimes you do need to put in some drainage in there, and that can get a little more costly, but you want to know that obviously going in, and not just pay a foundation company to come out, put all these piers, and then you never fixed what was causing those issues to begin with.
Right.
So I see that a lot. And then the last thing is termites. It doesn't cost much to get it inspected, but it could save you a lot. Actually treating the termites maybe doesn't cost that much, but if they've done a lot of damage within the walls, then that can get pretty costly. So you definitely want to know that going into your deals.
Right.
And that's it for due diligence. As far as I put together a couple other good tips for you guys. As far as what should property owners do to add value to the properties. So we were actually talking about this earlier, is add units as much as you can. So
right.
If you've got, we run into this all the time, if you've got an office space and some of the space is just being used for storage, or you've taken a unit and you've made it storage, it's a lot better to maybe do even like a storage unit or something, right, and take the rent on that unit, make it rentable again. Right now we're working on a project where there was just a ton of office space that wasn't being used, and we turned it into 5 units.
Oh,
so
nice.
Imagine what that's doing to the value of the property.
That's huge. Good.
And then adding more character, which we kind of talked about too. Putting those cedar accents, or just doing stuff to the common areas, the office, right, the gym, things like that. And then adding more technology. This also kind of depends on what class property you're working with, but doing simple things like plugs that have USB ports as well, and right, if you can add Wi-Fi in certain areas, I think that goes a long way for adding value.
Yep.
Amenity-wise, dog parks don't cost much, and people like them.
Right.
It's a good.
And also, dogs pay rent.
Yeah.
So that's why we
true.
do dog parks.
That is true.
Yeah.
Playgrounds, obviously that's been around for a long time, but just should probably say upgrading the playground, right, making it look nicer, and then always having some type of sitting area somewhere where the tenants can hang out and right, do their barbecuing and whatnot.
Yeah.
As far as interior unit renovations, you had talked about granite earlier. The cost difference between getting a cheap granite and getting Formica isn't much more, and that granite's going to last you a lot longer and could also get you higher rents. So
right, and you don't have to resurface that granite like you
right,
do Formica, right?
Right?
So we have to spend an extra $175 or so to resurface the kitchen on the Formica countertops. Where if you do granite, maybe it's an extra $200-300, but then I don't have to mess with that ever again.
Yeah.
So that's the great way to do that.
I think it's a harder sell if you don't have to replace a countertop, resurfacing versus putting in granite, maybe that's a harder sell. But if
right,
you're replacing that countertop anyways, Might as well go with granite.
Might as well do it. Yep.
Doing all new plugs and switches, not just the plates, but the actual plugs and switches. They also do, we've done this a lot, where they sell so you don't have to go in through the labor of replacing the plug. There's a plate that covers the whole plug as well. I don't know if you've used those.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yep. Yeah.
That works well too, and it just makes it look a lot sharper. As far as cabinets, I think he talked about refacing. It's a lot cheaper to keep the base of the cabinets and just reface them.
Right. Yeah. That's a perfect way to do that. We did end up in Columbus, and I think it's costing us about $550, $600 a unit to do that.
Right.
To go, and they're, we paint the boxes white. We get order white shaker style. Cabinet door fronts add pulls onto them, but it makes it look like an entirely brand new unit, and we're getting an extra $25 a month at least for that, just for that alone, which is a great payback. I mean, that's a phenomenal return on investment.
What would it cost you to fully replace the cabinets?
A lot more.
You're looking at probably maybe $1,500 or more.
Right. So if you can say the boxes, say the boxes, right? Yeah, for sure.
And then we also talked about this, but having a clear business plan, from day one, working on doing that pre-con type meeting that you said, and have it all sorted out, ready to go, so that you're not sitting on it for months trying to figure out what you're going to do with the property.
Right.
Yeah,
got to get moving on it.
And then this is just some of the apartments we've worked on, some of the clients that we've had. These are some common areas that we've renovated. There's what we were kind of talking about, where you got the kitchen, and that's in the actual leasing.
Leasing office. You got the backsplash there. It's nice. The glass tile. Yeah. Those look like newer cabinet fronts too, maybe. But it looks good.
And here's some before and after. So this is the property my first property that we were talking about.
Okay.
As you can see, it was in pretty bad shape to begin with. Those awnings were amazing.
That instantly dates it, so you've got to bring something else.
So we did quite a bit to it to make it pop. Obviously we painted the brick, and then we added nice bright accent color. We replaced those hideous awnings, put some nice simple metal ones, and
nice.
And then on the interior we knocked out the wall in the kitchen, opened that up.
Oh, nice.
That made a huge difference, and replaced all the flooring and just did the fronts, except for the bathroom. We replaced the vanity.
Right.
And
How much was rehab on that one?
so on that one it was close to $300,000.
Okay.
Obviously only 37 units, so. And then this is one in Irving that we just wrapped up not too long ago.
I walked that deal with you.
Yes,
It's
you
really, guys, this was a really, really impressive renovation. This is like an eyesore. I live in Irving, so drove by this building a lot, and I was like, who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy it? And then, George ended up doing this renovation project, and it's absolutely spectacular. Just like the colorways and how y'all executed everything, I think it was really nice.
Yeah. So, kind of the same concept here. We painted the brick and then gave it a nice accent color. And we're doing some other things to the exterior. I think this was close to around $300,000, just the exterior. And then here I've got some just commercial roofs. We've got a whole roofing division as well that specializes on any type of roof. And those are just some of the projects we've done. And then, like I said, we do some new construction as well. These are some of the projects we have in planning phase.
Okay.
And then also some that we're actually building right now.
Are those here in Dallas, Fort Worth?
Those are here in Dallas, close
Okay.
to the uptown Dallas.
Nice. Good.
And
Cool.
that's it as far as the slides. Then if you guys want a copy of the slides, if you just email me, I'll send it to you.
Or drop your emails in the comments as well. You can do that as well. I think that's awesome. And we'll bring this slide up towards the end of the show. But any Q&As we want to make sure we can take that right now. So if you have
Get
any
your questions in.
Q&As, just drop them in the comments below. Let's see.
So some of the big questions we get about renovation is, some of the things that we like to key on. We kind of touched on, but like I always like to do the kitchen first, because that's usually when you walk into an apartment, that's the first thing you see. Mm-hmm. So that's got to be the first impression right there. Again, first impressions are big. And so if you do the backsplash, and a lot of our guys can do that in-house, or you have a construction crew that can knock out a whole bunch at once, but that's a big deal to that. Invest in the kitchen if you can. And then second, I guess, would be the bathrooms, doing a new vanity. If they've got the old kind of chipped or ugly looking mirrors, frame those out. There's those small touches that really make a difference. It really doesn't cost that much to do, especially by buying in bulk and things like that. What are some of the other ideas that you've got for kind of the unit interiors?
Yeah, I mean, flooring is huge. Obviously, if you can fit that into your budget. Vinyl planks is very popular just because it's affordable, it's durable.
It's waterproof.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
it's waterproof. So I mean, I think it's at a great price point. We have done engineered wood floors in some as well. We've also done tile. Tile is obviously very durable as well, just a little more expensive than the vinyl planks. Then, other than painting and stuff, if you can afford doing new baseboards and casing, I mean, that goes a long way as well.
Right.
Maybe more on like a B class.
Yeah, it depends on your scale, right? I mean, in a C class, you're not doing the baseboards and that kind of small touches like that. You just can't get there on the rent bump that you need to afford that. I mean, you've got to look at those things. So like on one of our deals up in Columbus, it's a newer build, but when they renew, we throw in a USB outlet, and then they can choose wherever they want it. Usually it's the kitchen or it's in their bedroom. But we do kind of those small things on renewals too, to kind of give them, hey, we're raising your rent $25-$30. Oh yeah, and by the way, let us know where you want your new USB outlet or a fan, or we do something like that to kind of help. One, it helps us kind of continue to improve the property and bring the quality up. And two, it's a good feeling for the resident that is paying that extra $25-$30 a month for not quite the same unit, right? So trying to kind of balance those things there. So
we've done something similar where we give them different packages, almost like when it comes time for renewal and we've got some rent to make up as far as the market.
Right. We
give them we'll resurface your countertops, or if you want new flooring, well then that's going to be more.
Right.
Give them some options.
Right. How do you do the flooring when they're in the unit? That's tough. We've always waited on a renewal. On a renewal, they've got to either transfer to one of our new upgrades that we've already done. But the flooring would be tough. Have you done that though?
I haven't done the flooring on renewals.
Yeah,
not the whole flooring.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, cool. We've got a question here from Tasha. When is the best time to get your contractor involved?
Early.
Right?
Yeah,
before you
early
close.
as possible.
Yeah, before you make an offer, right? I mean, that's what I would.
I've got as you build the relationship, I've got investors now that reach out to us. Sometimes even before they submit the LOI, we won't go out there and visit the property, but we'll get on the phone with them. We'll look at pictures. We'll kind of give them an idea of what it's going to cost, and then once you've got that signed LOI, I think it's definitely time to get with your contractor. Yeah,
to kind of fine tune it, and it also helps like when you if you've worked with a client before, you kind of know what they like on their interiors, right? So that always helps speed that process up as well. They know what I like, or whoever likes. And some other folks might not like what I like, but but they know working with the same contractor is helpful to build that relationship, and they understand what your preferences are. From Jorge, we've got a question. Did you have prior contracting experience before flipping?
Very minimal. I worked with my uncle who owned a construction company for a couple years, and then that was about it. Other than managing my own flips as well, I guess there was some experience in that. Other than that was really it.
Yeah, I don't. I can't change out a toilet. So and we've owned like I think 3,700 units. So I have no idea how to do that. But again, I don't want to know how to do that. You know, that's somebody else's job. My deal is to find the new deals and buy them. You know, and so we got a kind of a follow-up question from him as well. Do you do most of your CapEx improvements through your contracting company? I'm going to also, I think that might have been cut off, or your maybe on-site staff as well. So.
Yeah. So anything to do with the renovations and a bulk of units, interior units, I do it through the construction company. Normal turns, if we're not really upgrading, then usually I'll let the management company handle that.
Right.
Unless it's a lot of them and maybe they can't keep up.
Right. Yeah, we kind of do that too. We do a kind of a first initial blitz of the property, upgrading the vacants that we've got, and then once we're ahead of that, a lot of times our maintenance crew, that we're paid kind of a lower hourly rate than a contractor, they can do those make readies and things like that to kind of reduce that price. But you've got to give them that initial pop to give the office, product to actually sell, right? To actually lease up. So you've got to have that initial push. And obviously exterior stuff, amenities, our maintenance guys aren't building pergolas. They shouldn't be. They should be getting units ready to lease. So it's a balancing act, but the interior stuff, you kind of do that initial pop, and then that's how we've done it, and transfer that over to the maintenance guys once they can get ahead of everything. Or sometimes, if it's AC season in Texas, a lot of our maintenance guys are AC certified, so they can do less. They have less ability to do make readies because they're working on the ACs, where we may need another contractor to come in and do another 10, 15 units to give it that pop as well. So it's kind of a balancing act back and forth.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's having that relationship again where you can get the contractor involved when you need them to.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching the Commercial Cashflow Show today. Thank you, George, for being here today. I'm Kenny Wolf. Ronnie Phillips is the co-host here. George, how can they contact you?
You've got, I don't know if you can put that slide back up, or if not, just my email's George, Jorge, at elevatecig.com.
Yeah, so we'll put up the slide. So this is the best way to reach out. Please send him an email if you want to receive these slides. I think that's important. Also, make sure you like his Facebook page. Any multifamily renovations, this is the guy to go to. So make sure you reach out to him on any upcoming projects. If you're a new deal sponsor, I think it's a good idea to sit down with George and kind of go over your goals and whatnot. So I think that's important. We also would like to thank Propelio.com for hosting the Commercial Cashflow Show. If you haven't checked out Propelio, it's a real estate investing software. A lot of great tools, and make sure you check it out. There's if you sign up on the website, you can get a free trial. And also there is a Propelio event. What date is it for?
May 14th.
May 14th. So make sure y'all go and check it out. There's an event page. Make sure you click that. I think most of us will be there.
Right.
So can meet us out there.
The theme is raising money.
What was that?
Raising money.
The theme is raising money. So that is a really important topic, especially if you're in commercial real estate. This is a skill set you always need.
Right.
So and best way for people to reach out to you, Kenny?
So reach out to us at wolf-investments.com. That's WOLFE. That's a good place to find us. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the kind of regular social media outlets. We've got a big investor network event coming up in Santa Monica, California, June 22nd. The website is mfinvestornetwork.com. Come out and hang out with us in Santa Monica. It's a beautiful location. The venue is at the Marriott, right there on the beach, and it's all about networking, focused on multifamily. There'll be some guest speakers flying in from all over the country for educational as well. There's nothing made. There's no like $20,000 item to buy at the end. It's just networking, just education. That's it. There's no big sales thing at the end. So that's what we want to do. We're also hosting our monthly meetup here again. It's this weekend, Saturday, 11 o'clock at the Chewy's in Addison. Come out if you can. We've got a guest speaker on insurance this month. And then again, reach out to us on the website. Follow us there on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Awesome. And best way to reach out to me, I'm Ronnie Phillip with Kingly Acquisitions. We're a real estate investment firm focused on acquiring value-add apartment buildings. So if you're looking to invest in multifamily or would like to learn more, please reach out to me, send me a friend request. You can also email me at ronnie@kingleyacquisitions.com. Be sure to like the Propelio Facebook page and also the Commercial Cashflow page, as well as all of our company Facebook pages. And wherever you're watching, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. And thanks for tuning into this episode of the Commercial Cashflow Show. We'll see you next week.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Life in There.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan with Propelio. If you like what you saw, please subscribe. Turn on those notifications and stick around for more. We have tons of content like this all over our channel. So if you want to learn more about real estate investing, stick around, watch Propelio TV, and we'll see you later.